The glory of gardening. Hands in the dirt, head in the sun, heart with nature. To nurture a garden is to feed not just the body, but the soul.
This is going to be a little bit different to our usual Scott grows an avocado tree videos, but it's gardening and I'm excited, so we're doing it. I think gardening is great. It makes me slow down, it's relaxing, and I think there's something really beautiful about watching something grow slowly over time and being able to manage that. And I think there are people out there who would like to get into gardening, but there's some obstacles in the way, things like expenses, space, and knowledge. You only have to go to any nursery or garden store to realise that the prices quickly add up. More and more people live in city living spaces, small living spaces. There's less and less space to do any gardening in. And trying to educate yourself about gardening, there's just so much information out there that it's hard to get your head around. While I was still at university, my wife suggested I get into gardening just as a hobby, and I really enjoyed it. Now, we didn't have a lot of extra cash to spend on it, so I had to do a lot of learning of how to do it cheaply. I think from my experiences so far, I've got some knowledge which might be helpful to others. So if you've wanted to give gardening a go but have been put off for one reason or another, whether it be funds, space, or lack of knowledge, this is the video series for you. And even if you have been gardening for a while, I still invite you to join me on this journey because I think it'll be interesting. What better way to get into gardening by growing some vegetables? And so that's what we are doing. This series is called Growing Vegetables on a Budget. I'm so excited to begin. I've even made an animated introduction. Here it is.
We are growing vegetables on a budget.
Now, I am fortunate enough that my garden looks like this. I've got some ground which I can use to plant plants in, because plants need soil. But I don't assume that your garden looks like this. No, your garden may actually look like this, where there is no ground at all. And that's a problem because plants need soil to grow. Now, we're going to need to bring the soil in. So we need to bring in some containers, some pots which will contain soil. So we'll fill up these containers with soil and then we can plant some plants in them. I'm going to try and put myself in the shoes of someone who has never gardened before. I'm going to start growing vegetables from ground zero with absolutely nothing. None of the things that I already have to garden. I want to show you what's possible with little knowledge and a handful of inexpensive items. I have here 30 Australian dollars. This is all the money I'm allowed to spend for this project. With this $30, I am going to grow as many tomatoes as I can. Why tomatoes? Well, because I like them, and because there are a number of processes involved with growing tomatoes, which will give you some transferable knowledge to go and grow other things. Even if you don't like tomatoes, there are still a bunch of things you can do with them, like make pasta sauce, chutney, or tomato sauce. My goal for this project is to grow more tomatoes for this $30 than I could buy at my local supermarket. The cheapest tomatoes I can buy at my local supermarket are field tomatoes at $6.50 a kilogram. $30 will buy me just over 4.5 kilograms of these tomatoes. If I can grow 4.5 kilograms of tomatoes over the season, we'll certainly have been successful. If I fall a little short, say I only grow 2.5 kilograms, I'm still going to count that as a success because the supermarket tomatoes are essentially tart, crunchy water, whereas our homegrown tomatoes are going to be beautiful, succulent, joy-filled delights. And gardening is its own reward. To do this, however, we are going to need a plan and some things. We are going to need some containers to put soil in, and we're going to need to try and find the cheapest ones available. We are going to need soil to fill the containers. I don't assume that you have access to free soil, so we're going to need to buy some, so we're going to need to find the cheapest high quality soil we can find. I'm going to need to do some research and find tomato seeds for tomatoes that will grow well in containers, because there are lots of different varieties of tomatoes. Some grow really well in the ground, some will grow tall, and some do really well in small spaces. So they're the ones that I'm going to be wanting to be finding. We're going to need to buy some stakes as well. Now, stakes we will need for supporting our tomatoes. Tomatoes generally don't have very strong stems, and so especially when they're taller and are growing lots of lovely fruit, we will need to support them. And not to leave anything off this list, we will need twine or something to tie the tomato plants to the stakes. And then to ensure that our tomatoes are growing beautifully and strongly with enough nutrients, we're going to need to get some fertilizer.
Now, I've got some research to do to be able to do this under budget. In our next episode, we're going to be going shopping, collecting all the supplies we'll be needing for this project. What fun! Please make sure you are subscribed to Scott Grows an Avocado Tree so as to not miss any of our vegetable growing updates. Turn on notifications as well if you like so that you get reminded each time I upload a video. I hope you are as excited as I am, and I will see you in my next video.
We are growing vegetables on a budget.